All right, so we'll be getting ready for the show here. Hello to our streamers, mostly from the bunker, but possibly from other points on the internet. Word, how are y'all doing? This is going to be episode 366. It's February 18th. God, is that right? Sure is. February 8th, rather. How about that, Jay Lee? The days are going by quickly. Yes, sir. Would you agree? Hey, also on the mic, you can pull it away from your mouth a little bit if you want to. Like, will it pull out? Attaboy. Yeah. Well, it's even better. You maybe you could even pull it more if you wanted to. Well, maybe not quite that far. Let me see out here. How do you sound? Yeah, you sound good. We'll talk about Marcus Woodson as a top 25 recruiter. I wonder who was responsible for that guy getting on the list. And we'll talk about his big hits. And we'll also talk about the new 2020 commit, Avery Jernigan. Another guard, just what Auburn needs. Oh, well, interior lineman.
Interior lineman.
Yeah.
Really like that kid, though.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Well, we'll get to that at the end of the show.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and fire it up, bro.
All right.
All right. Oh, I got to get my thing. Hi-yo! Hello again, and welcome to the AuburnSports.com rundown presented by Voodoo Wing Company. This right here, this very show, is your favorite podcast for all things Auburn. Today is February 8th in the year of 2018. This is going to be episode number 366 of this fine program, and we are currently one day away from Auburn, well, the Fighting Pearls, encounter with the hated LSU Bayou Bengals in Baton Rouge. The game is scheduled for a 1 o'clock Central Time tip on ESPN2, live from the PMAC, as I understand it. Yes, indeed. My name is Jay Tate. I am publisher of AuburnSports.com, and I'm joined today by, as you can see if you are watching this stream live on the internets, Mr. Jeffrey Lee, our ace, recruiting ace, I should say, and a man who always surveys the recruiting landscape with remarkable aplomb. Jay Lee Word.
Hey, about you.
How you doing today, bro?
Fairly well, man. It's Friday. Signing day is over.
And good things are happening, right?
Absolutely. A couple of days left to hunt for all you non-cowardice deer hunters.
I'm a coward. I don't hunt very much.
You know, and that's okay, but don't talk down to the hunters that do.
No, I wouldn't do that. Wouldn't dare. I used to hunt things that, yeah, you couldn't kill. You would just kind of bag them and tag them.
Chicks?
Sell it to the butcher in the store. No, I mean, whatever. I'll just leave it open to your imagination. One thing you don't have to leave open to your imagination is how delicious the food is at Voodoo Wing Company. My goodness. Every time we go in there, Jeffrey Lee walks out with a full belly, and he is just as content as you can imagine. He loves that chicken so much. It's good. You can get the traditional wings. You can get the boneless wings. You can get that nanner pudding that B-Matt loves so much. They also have these really cool Sidewinder fries. If you guys haven't been in there, they're kind of like steak fries, but they're also twirly, and they have that breading on the outside, but they're still thick. I don't see them anywhere else, and I think they're pretty fantastic. Jeffrey Lee's been known to devour a few here and there.
Big fan.
No doubt. So here's the deal. They also have Wine Wednesdays, I believe, is what I was told. And they've got $5 wines, I believe, on Wednesdays. Does that sound right? Is that possible?
It does. Wine Wednesday.
Yeah, Wine Wednesday. Let me make sure. Yes.
Wine Need to run that by Marge.
Oh, yeah. Wednesday wine night. $5 bottles of wine to go with all the delicious accoutrements you have there at Voodoo Wing Company. You guys know where it is, but for those of you who don't, it's on College Street, 0.3 of a mile north of the Interstate in Auburn, just north of the Supper Club where Jeffrey Lee was once deposited in a trash can, and he was lucky to not get off worse than that.
True story.
So check them out, Voodoo Wing Company, voodoowingco.com.
Can I throw this?
Yes, go ahead.
Something that you and I both had the privilege to taste last time was that little cup of key lime.
Oh, yes. I prefer it to the nanner pudding.
I agree.
You did as well. It's like a cup of just goodness. It's got a little bit of graham cracker. It's not necessarily a key lime pie put in a cup, but it's got graham cracker crust in it, and then it's got It's almost like key lime mousse. It's lovely. Absolutely lovely. And I think it's only $2. It's a great confection to finish it off with. News on the Auburn front this morning. Marcus Woodson, Auburn's newish assistant, I guess we'd call him the senior assistant from Memphis, was awarded a nice title today. He is considered one of Rivals' top 25 recruiters, and I am 100% sure that he was nominated for that award by Mr. Jeffrey Lee. Jeffrey, tell us about the heavy lifting that Marcus Woodson managed during this recruiting cycle.
We talked a little bit about it the other day, but his hire paid off in
Your
year one.
messed up. Your headphones messed up.
Well, you were kind of breaking up there on that intro. How about it?
No.
Like it was static.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Breaking up. Is that what it's doing to me?
Mm-hmm.
You were doing the same.
Can you pull it out and put it back in?
Right now.
Oh, did you pull it out and put it back in? There we go. For those streaming, sometimes we have, minor issues. It happens.
How about that?
Much better. Perfect,
okay.
I think. You sound good?
I do.
All right, so I will start over with the Marcus Woodson thing.
Okay.
You good with that?
Absolutely.
As far as news in the Auburn sphere, the number one thing right here is Marcus Woodson earned a nice, luscious title that I'm sure he will put at the top of his resume. He was named one of Rivals' top 25 recruiters, and that is a title that I am 100% sure Jeffrey Lee had something to do with. Jeffrey Lee, tell us about the heavy lifting that Marcus Woodson managed during this recruiting cycle.
Yeah, year one, from Memphis, Gus Malzahn brought him in last year, specifically because the state of Mississippi was so loaded last year, abnormally loaded. Mississippi doesn't typically have loads of talent, but this past year was an exception. And to bring in Marcus and for him to actually come in and get the job done was impressive. He signed 3 of the top 9 players in that state. Obviously he didn't do it alone. Rodney Garner had a lot to do with that because you had Charles Moore, you had Derek Hall, and Jaron Handy, all 3 defensive linemen. Derek will be the buck, but all helped by Rodney Garner. But Marcus Woodson was a point man on those 3 guys to go in the state of Mississippi and get 3 of the top 10, 3 of the top 9. Very impressive. And then, of course, he went up to Virginia and got a top 10 player out of Virginia and in 4-star Cameron Kelly. So big year, and I think 3 of those, Jaron wasn't an early enrollee. Cameron and Derek Hall both were early enrollees. So 2 of the 4 early enrollees, but very impressed, man. When you sign a hire guy from Memphis, he didn't have a lot of experience. He didn't have any in the SEC. So for him to come in and recruit against the big boys, to land 3 of those guys from Mississippi and 1 from Virginia, as well as playing parts on the defensive backs as well. I was very impressed. And you talked to Marcus 1 or 2 times, and you can tell he's very genuine, very nice guy. He can relate to both the recruits and the parents, and you can see why he's had a lot of success already on the recruiting trail.
Yeah. So the work that he's done already, and you mentioned him, he has been here very long after coming over from Memphis. At this point, can you affirm that he's pretty dang good at what he does? That he's the kind of recruiter that gives Auburn an edge on the recruiting trail?
Absolutely. And it was hard for me to expect him in year one to do what he did. So I was even more impressed that he was able to do what he did.
Yeah. Maybe Kenny Dillingham will be able to do some of that too.
Maybe so.
I mean, you got to recruit hard in Memphis. You got to go hard or go home. That's what they say. I'm not from Memphis, so I don't know.
And, Kenny will be out in Arizona, or he already has been back in the evaluation period a couple of weeks ago. He was out in Arizona offering a lot of guys, and whether that pays off remains to be seen. Auburn doesn't typically have a lot of success in Arizona. Of course, they don't put a lot of efforts and resources to that state, but him having the connections he does in Arizona, we'll see a couple of guys. I expect a couple of guys from Arizona to visit this spring, and they'll be trying to get them back on campus for official visits in the fall. So, opening up some new grounds there with the new hires.
Well, Auburn has dipped its toes in Arizona before. I remember Christian Westerman, right?
Christian Westerman.
He was an offensive lineman from Arizona. I believe he He got his first taste of Auburn when they went to the championship game or something like that.
That's right. Sure did.
Because they played out there. And then Auburn tried to get Christian Kirk as well.
Right.
Finals. I think finished second in that derby.
Yeah, sure did.
Of course, if you're not first, you're last in that world. But
that's right.
Every time I see Christian Kirk, man, I loved him on the recruiting circuit. He's a really cool dude.
Was a very good player.
Yeah. He ended up being a really good player for A&M, and now he's in the NFL.
Still is, yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. We saw some good players back in those camps. We saw Rashawn Gary back in that era. Devin Bush, who I loved. He didn't end up being quite the stud that I thought he would at Michigan, but I was hoping Auburn would have been able to sway him, but no can do. Moving on to some more news. Jeffrey Lee. Auburn has a new 2020 commit. His name is Avery Jernigan. He is an offensive lineman. However, he is not a tackle. Is this a problem?
Absolutely not. Got to have the interior guys too, man. And I really like this guy. 6'3", 290 pounds. Very smart kid. Plays with a mean streak, man. You can watch his video and see this kid's got what you want. He reminds me of Keandre Jones, the 4-star guard that Auburn just signed. Well, I guess he signed back in December, but Avery reminds me of Keandre Jones. Keandre's a little heavier, but Avery is got the same kind of build he does. He's probably in better shape, put together, I guess. But you got to like what you see out of Avery Jernigan. He visited last weekend, part of the junior day, and he's been to Auburn several times since last year. I think he came to the LSU game last year and returned a couple more times. Came back on Saturday with his parents, and that's when he said, I talked to him last night, that's when he said he really knew that Auburn was the place for him. Really likes the feel he gets at Auburn. Will be big for Auburn recruiting. You know, he's very outgoing. He'll help Auburn on the recruiting trail. I think it was a great get, man. He can play guard. He can play center. So December graduate too, which is big. So I thought it was a really good get. But J.B. Grimes, and I think Kenny Dillingham had something to do with that too, but mostly J.B. Grimes.
J.B. Grimes, bunker favorite, bunker legend, I should say.
Absolutely.
Now J.B. faces a lot of criticism day to day on the bunker, Jeffrey Lee, because the offensive line wasn't particularly good last year, and recruiting wise, they kind of swung and missed a lot at offensive tackle in the last cycle. Your thoughts on Grimes kind of moving forward as a recruiter? I know he's not necessarily an ace, but do you think that he can do the things that Malzahn wants to do in the 2020 class and get, 5 or 6 good quality offensive linemen?
Yeah. Let's go back to his offensive line last year. Would you not agree that the latter half of the season Auburn got really good? I mean, they played some of their best football in the first half against Alabama. They played well against Georgia. They played great against Purdue in the bowl game. I thought towards the end of the year they were finding some chemistry there. They were playing their best ball towards the end of the year. All 5 of those guys will be back. As far as recruiting goes, I think last year Auburn entering the season, thought they were going to, top 10, ranked in the top 10. Everybody thought they were going to be a contender for the championship, the SEC championship, maybe even the playoffs. 10-win seasons were being projected, and I think Auburn was under the mindset that they could be a little bit more selective with their commitments, and so they had a ton of vision on some of these guys, on some of these elite talent, and at the same time, while you're putting all your efforts into that, you don't really build up a pool of candidates if something were to go wrong, which we all know is what happened. Auburn missed out on all these elite targets that they had, or most of them, and then at the end they didn't really have a lot to go on. You go back to Charles Cross, the 5-star offensive tackle from Mississippi. Auburn probably could have had a commitment from him last summer. Didn't make a big push for him because they had Wanye Morris and what's the guy's name from up north? Ben would have known that, but didn't really put a lot of efforts there into their backup plans at the time, and ended up losing out on a lot of those guys. And so I think this year they're going to spread their focus. They're not going to be as selective, and I don't think Avery Jernigan would have been a backup guy anyways. I mean, you got to like that guy and what you see from him. But I do expect Auburn to broaden that pool of guys that they want to take, and end up probably with 6, 7 offensive linemen, with Avery Jernigan be the first. Javian Cohen. This is a good group of tackles in this class too. Javian Cohen down in Phoenix City is another guy to watch. Auburn will go watch him in the spring and could make a push for him there. So I expect a big 6 to 7 offensive linemen, probably 3 to 4 tackles. But at the same time, you've got to have some interior guys too, and Avery Jernigan's a good start there.
Yeah, Jernigan's tape reminds me a little bit of somebody that I really liked that probably a lot of Auburn people have forgotten, but Danny Lindsay that played on the 04 championship team. A kid from Georgia who just played dirty inside. He played guard most of the time. There were Jeremy Engel, and you got to have guys like that. Maybe I'm biased because Hugh Null kind of taught me about offensive line and how to recruit them, and that this guy's a Hugh Null guy straight up. Absolutely,
man. That's exactly what I was thinking. Avery Jernigan is your prototypical Hugh Null offensive lineman. Absolutely.
He puts a lot of value on finishing, and Avery Jernigan is definitely a finisher. You can tell from his high school film. It's not enough to get the block. He's going for he's trying to defame people.
Take his manhood.
Right. He's just trying to steal manhood, as they say. So it looks like Avery Jernigan it was down to, if you want to call it that, Auburn, Florida State, Louisville, Mississippi State might have been in there.
South Carolina.
Nebraska was interested. I think they'd offered.
Right.
So he was getting a lot of, this is so early in the recruiting cycle for him, he was already getting a lot of attention, which tells me he's going to be pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised to see him bump up to a 4-star at some point.
I completely agree. I think Chad Simmons did too.
Well, that's good news because Chad has a lot of say on those things,
right.
Kinds of things. Auburn now has 5 players committed to its 2020 class, including, as we just mentioned, Avery Jernigan, who's an interior lineman. Also 2 defensive ends, a linebacker, and an athlete, Kobe Hudson from LaGrange, Georgia. Obviously, Kobe Hudson, a 4-star guy already. What do you think he would do at the college level? What position would he run?
He's going to play wide receiver. Excuse me. He's going to play wide receiver. He is a freak athlete, really good at basketball, and he's really good at football. He played quarterback last year. He did everything. I think he threw for 2,000 yards, rushed for 1,000 yards. He totaled almost 50 touchdowns. Just a freak athlete that's going to play wide receiver at Auburn. Auburn getting him early was big, and they'll have to fight off a lot of people. They're going to come hard for him. And if you'll remember, his teammate, Auburn's already had 2 guys decommit from this 2020 class, and we're just now on the second day of the recruiting cycle.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to 2019 signing day before Auburn got a commitment and subsequent decommitment from Andy Boykin, the defensive end at Troop there with Kobe, and then of course Quandarius Robinson, the Buck linebacker, last week decommitted from Auburn from Jackson Olin. But I did talk to Q. Let's see, last Saturday night he came 2 days after decommitting from Auburn. He was on campus
yeah.
and visiting, and he was very. He wanted to do things the right way, and if he was going to be visiting other schools, he didn't want to be committed to Auburn and make it look like that. He's an awesome kid, man, awesome kid, fantastic player, but he just wanted to do things the right way, and for him to decommit from Auburn, it doesn't rule out Auburn. Obviously, he was visited this past weekend, and he'll be back. I think Auburn could probably still be the leader right now, but it just kind of goes to show you what recruiting has become. It's 2019, and Auburn's already had 2 decommitments from 2020 kids. But I don't think Auburn's out of it for either of the 2, Boykin or Robinson.
Well, it's early. And at Jackson Olin, he's playing for a quality head coach.
Absolutely.
Tim Bakakis.
Yeah. Tim Bakakis.
One of the good guys out there doing the high school thing. So there you go. There's 5 guys, part of the 2020 class, and they will be adding more as we move along. No doubt about that. I do want to bounce over to basketball a little bit. The Auburn Tigers, as mentioned at the top of the show, we're taking on LSU Saturday afternoon. This is a very important game. Auburn has not played well on the road to this point this season. And the fact that they dropped a home game against Kentucky a couple weeks ago means that they're going to try to stay in this race. And I don't even know as though anyone's expecting Auburn to win the conference now. I mean, Tennessee is doing a hell of a job, and Kentucky's really turned it on. But Auburn's got to play better on the road if they're going to be equipped to handle things in March, because they're not going to be home in March a bunch, and they've got to learn how to play on the road.
2 different teams, it looks like. We got one.
Sure does.
One team on the road, one team at home. The team at home, looks unbeatable at times, and then the team on the road looks like very unorganized.
Get a little panicky sometimes, yeah. When Auburn lost to Kentucky, I thought, oh, that's going to hurt. But here's the thing. Kentucky's really picked up since that loss. So that, Auburn was playing a very good team. He didn't necessarily realize it at the time. I mean, I thought Kentucky was solid, not great. And they really started to come together. So I don't know. That's more of a meaningful loss than I thought it was. Losing at South Carolina was kind of weird. But, I mean, South Carolina's built specifically to undermine teams like Auburn. They're nothing but power and rough, and Auburn's nothing but finesse, it seems like. Mississippi State, Auburn lost over there, too. Kind of a weird game, just gave up a lot of points. But they're on a little win streak now, beat Missouri, beat Alabama, and they handled Florida the other night as well. All three of those games were pretty well managed. Auburn won by double digits in every case, and Auburn's coming along.
Did they even trail in either of those games?
Maybe early.
And now LSU, you if I'm not mistaken, a couple of weeks ago, you thought LSU was probably the third best team in the SEC.
Well, at that time, I thought they were the second best team in the SEC, and I still think they're in the top three. Kentucky's probably moved ahead of LSU in my mind. Although LSU at this point is 8-1 in conference play. I mean, they're nothing to joke about. That reminds me of Chappelle's show and say, Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to mess with. At the racial draft, remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That's good stuff. Chappelle's show. If you guys are too young to know what Chappelle's show is, you really need to get on the YouTube and check that out. One of Jeffrey Lee and I's favorite shows ever. Anyway, so defending LSU is going to be a little bit of a challenge. They have an outstanding point guard. I know Auburn has one as well, but Tremont Waters at LSU, to me, is better than Jared Harper. He just, particularly on the scoring end, he just does stuff. He's an assist machine. He's a decent three-point shooter, but he drives, he penetrates, he can finish at the rack, he gets the free throws. And he doesn't get stuffed a whole lot. If you watch him work, man, he's just like a magician out there. He's really, really insanely good. They also have a center named Naz Reid, 6'10". And the thing about Naz Reid is, first of all, he's outstanding on the break. So think about, like, he kind of looks to me like Horace, except he's like very skilled. And he's awesome in transition. And he's like almost a 40% three-point shooter. So their center is a 40% three-point shooter, and he shoots a lot. He ain't 4 of 10. I'll tell you that. So you've got to be very careful when you're defending. Now, Auburn has the staff. Auburn's 4s and 5s can go out and extend on a guy like Naz Reid, whereas a lot of other teams probably can't do that comfortably. So that gives Auburn a little bit of an edge. But we're still talking about a guy who's 21 of 54 from three-point range. He's a 6'10" power forward / center. So matchup problems all around. The interesting thing is that LSU plays a lot like Auburn. They will have to push the tempo. They're at their best when it's frenetic, when they're in the full court. And Auburn obviously is best when it's frenetic and they're in the full court. So it's going to be a matter of taking control of the pace, taking advantage of the pace. For Auburn, I think it's when you get into the lane, don't get stuffed. Auburn's very good at blocking shots, but LSU is as well. Naz Reid will swat you. Bigby Williams will swat you. They will get you. So if you're going to go into the lane, particularly Samir Dowdy, who doesn't necessarily get up very high, Jeffrey Lee, he may want to be careful and understand where his defensive swatters are when he goes driving into the lane, because if he doesn't understand that and doesn't pay attention to that, he's going to get the ball knocked about 20 rows up.
Is this a game where it'll be beneficial to have Austin Wiley back full speed?
Yeah, it would help. I think he gives them more shot blocking power, and he also can body up Naz Reid. LSU is a team that doesn't shoot the three nearly as much as Auburn. Of course, Auburn's one of the national leaders in that area. But they like to shoot twos, and if they like to shoot twos, that means that Austin Wiley can redirect some of those shots into the stands. He's really good at that. He's also a very good defensive rebounder. So that'd be helpful. He played 5 minutes in the game the other night against Florida, all in the first half. I think he got leg whipped or something, and they took him out as a precaution. I don't think he's injured or anything, or injured more than he had been. So I expect him to play, and I think he'll get 10 to 12 minutes. And we'll just kind of see what happens. Just keep in mind, guys, he had to actually sit and not move for like 10 days. He didn't do anything. It might have been 14 days, and I think he lost a little bit of his fitness, but he'll get it back. I mean, he's kids these days.
Yeah, you've seen how long it's taken Denzel Purefoy,
yeah,
Kevon.
Right.
But he's starting to become, he's starting to become the player that I imagined he was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, the player he used to be a couple years ago. I thought he played pretty well here in this last little stretch.
Right.
He was pressed into action the other day when Chuma went out with, it looked like a hip pointer.
Right.
And he also got gashed in the face. And He stepped in there, and I thought he played pretty well. He didn't get a lot of chances, but he kept things going. He wasn't stupid with the ball. Defensively, he did what he was supposed to do. He's really picked it up. So
He had some shots. He's starting to look. Yeah, what was it against Florida? Yes,
against Florida, he didn't shoot a bunch, but
that was the game he came in for Tuma, right? When Tuma and Jared both went out early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and he was defensively. That thing was defensively was what was annoying me because he would miss assignments. He would totally flub closeouts. He actually, in my opinion, is the reason they lost that South Carolina game late because he just absolutely left that power forward to shoot a three wide open to put the game out. And he's been better about that here in the last few days. I bet they showed him that tape a time or two. Anyway, Auburn LSU, 1 o'clock. That's going to be on ESPN2, 1 o'clock Central. If you guys are in the Eastern time zone, it's going to be a little bit later in the day. But definitely want to check that out. That's going to be a game to watch. And I think this is one of those conference games that the season really hinges on this one. You're not, if they lose it, it's not like they're out of the race. But if you're going to have a defining win in the SEC, this is one that you could lock up. But you have to be careful because LSU will run all day long, and they're ready to do that. Jeffrey Lee, moving on to a few shout-outs as we wrap up today's show. I know you had a few. You're not on the show maybe quite as much as B-Matt and I. So when you have a chance to have some shout-outs, you want to give kind of like a general achievement shout-out, right?
Yeah, man. We've had some we have some really good posters, especially throughout the recruiting year. And this past year we had at least 3 of them stood out to me. JR and ATL one was a really good poster. J Head has always been a really good poster. AU Tigers 07 has always been a really good poster. I appreciate their input and their intel and their postings, especially in recruiting. And then, of course, AUBT, formerly known as Mutter, formerly known as Carolina Tiger. Yeah, just wanted to give him his time's coming.
Boom, boom, boom.
Enjoy it while you can, boss man.
Yeah, you're saying he's walking on a thin line, right?
He really is. He really is.
Yeah, I don't know as though he has a lot of supporters. Like there's certain trolls on the board that are kind of entertaining. I enjoy some.
Right.
But AUBT's just mean, I think.
When what did he call last night? 16-year-old.
Okay, I don't want to know.
Fat, drunk. Yeah, his time's coming.
Yeah, his time's coming.
Just wanted to give him a heads up.
I have a few shout-outs as well. Auburn Smith started a thread yesterday. So the topic of the ignore feature, it came up in conversation, apparently, that some people ignore other posters. I actually have a few posters on ignore. Jeffrey Lee revealed to me before the show that he's got a few posters on ignore. And we have a couple in common. So I guess it's on Brian Matthews to handle those guys.
And, most of them are already gone. This is probably guys I've had on ignore for a year or two now.
Yeah. Some of them left, and we don't really miss them. Anyway, so Auburn Smith he had a poll there of how many people do you have on ignore and stuff. In that thread, men's softball enthusiast said, I already paid J.G. Tate $1,000 a year for 10 accounts to like my posts. I can't afford to upgrade. I thought that was really funny.
Hey, are you looking at that poll?
No, I'm not at the moment.
Okay, because I voted in it, and at the time I was the only one who had 4 or more.
How about now?
I was the snowflake. I don't know. I haven't found the post yet.
Okay. So anyway, that was a funny thread, and there's some funny stuff in there. Also, Crankbait 337 started a thread yesterday about Tim Horton leaving Auburn. No, it was 2 days ago. And it's a Tim Horton leaving Auburn. I searched and didn't see it. Sorry if already posted. He decided to move on to something else. And so my interpretation was that it was about that Tim Horton isn't the running backs coach anymore. And I thought, oh boy, like this guy thinks that's news. He was actually referencing the fact that Tim Horton, that Malzahn confirmed that Tim wasn't going to be on the staff anymore, which I knew already and you knew already. And it just kind of created some cognitive dissonance. But anyway, I got on there and I was like, oh God, please go easy on him, you guys. Because I thought it was about how, he wasn't going to be the running backs coach anymore. Lewis 3882 says, we left him in New Orleans. GG32 says, hasn't been with the team since the Beef O'Brady's Bowl. And AU Auburn 334 says, I feel like Cadillac would be a good hire as his replacement, ... I agree too. So he was thinking the same way I was about that. Anyway, I got a lot of kicks out of that thread, Crankbait. Appreciate you starting that one up as well. Also, a shout out to AU 925, who is watching our stream live on the Bunker. And I don't really want to say what he said, but it was pretty funny. And I laughed out loud. It was slightly inappropriate.
Oh.
Something about you and I. He said that you and I had talked about something here on the show that we actually hadn't talked about, and it was pretty funny. So, but he was playing a little blue. He was playing with that one, and I don't want to reference it here on the show directly. Also, I want to mention that my latest eBay find, for those of you who are watching on the stream, is this. Oh, I got to be able to see this.
eBay still exists?
Do you see that right there, Jeffrey Lee? Do you know what that is? That is a emblem that is located on a Buick Grand National, which was a special Buick Regal produced from the years of 1985 to 1987, which had a turbocharged V6 3.8-liter engine in it. It was like all blacked out, and it was extremely fast, and I owned one. Of course, I don't own it anymore, and I bought one of these off the eBay.
Did you have some big, shiny wheels on it?
I just had the standard stock wheels. They were shiny, but they weren't like real flossy or anything.
Were you big pimping?
I mean, I feel like I was, yeah. Until I took my wife, or the girl who became my wife, on our first date, and it was raining and the T-tops were dripping on her. It was not good.
Oh.
That's not a good start.
Oh.
Fortunately, she was able to. She's not a real foo-foo girl, so she wasn't like all insulted. But I could see where a lot of women would be like, "Get me out of here! I don't want to be in this car. It's all wet."
Oh my God.
I'm glad she wasn't like that. All right, so shout-outs done. Show done. Jeffrey Lee, I guess we're about ready to bounce then, aren't we?
Absolutely, man. I'm going to try to enjoy the weekend.
No doubt. I bet you're going to go hunting, aren't you?
I am.
I also want to note for anybody who cared that Benny did finally answer us on the texting machine. We were worried. We had some communications this morning. BMAT's feeling a little under the weather. We were going to try to make sure that Ben understood that he needed to cover the Bruce Pearl press conference. And it took Ben a little while to get back with us. It's okay.
Brian's under the weather. Benny was under the covers.
Hey, now. I wasn't going to out him like that, Jay Lee. But, man, if you want to, that's all on you.
He's finishing up his rookie year here, man. Got to get all the hazing out now.
It's because us old people can't sleep anymore anyway. So it's
true.
Matter. I do want to give a shout out, of course, to our friends at Voodoo Wing Company, Jan, Michael, Jenna, the whole crew there, Marge also as well, do an awesome job, and we appreciate them very much and their support of what we do here at auburnsports.com and their awesome food. Our friends at Lynch Toyota of Auburn, Paul Brockwell is the best GM on the planet. Kenny's my guy on the floor. Phil does a great job in the sales department. Kevin does an awesome job in the sales department. They have an outstanding team over there, and if you're looking for a new or used Toyota, which are terrific vehicles, I drive one. BMAT drives one. Jeffrey Lee did drive one.
We'll soon drive another.
And we'll soon drive another. Yeah, check them out. Also to our awesome subscribers at auburnsports.com, thank you for your support of what we do here at auburnsports.com. We couldn't do this without you. And God bless you guys for sticking with us and being part of what we do there at the site, part of the bunker, which can be a little catty at times, but it's always entertaining, that's for sure. If you're not a member, become a member. Check us out at auburnsports.com. It really doesn't cost that much. It's like $8.25 a month if you get the annual. And believe me, that's great value for what the entertainment that you can get at auburnsports.com. Believe me. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. We will see you again on the other side of the weekend after the Auburn LSU game. And we'll see, what we want to talk about then. Until then, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
Oh, yeah. I love you guys. I'm done, son.
Oh, no, you got Benny on that one. He's going to be sweltering after that one. He's sweating bullets. It only took him like 45 minutes to answer us, Jay Lee.
Are we off now?
Well, we're streaming, but the show's over, yeah.
Oh, really? So AU 992?
Oh, yeah, what did he say? Let me get that.
I don't know, man. On the share screen, it says, "Welcome back, Jay Tate." I can't see anything.
Oh, really?
Start sharing? Is that what I hit? Okay, I can see you now.
Oh, hey, what's up? Hi. That's weird.
Can you see my screen?
I could there for a minute, yeah.
Oh, okay, now I see your screen.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't been doing this.
You cool? Well, this is kind of new stuff here.
Oh, it's really clear.
Let me see what he said. It was pretty funny, though. Oh, we
is
have
that
a bunch
Chip
of people.
Cantor?
Oh, there's my favorite GIF, dude. I love this one. I could watch this all day. How did he do that, man, without banging his chin? I love that gif. That is so good. Ag student, you get a shout out next show, bro. You're getting one right now on the live stream. That is my all-time favorite.
Did you close out your adult content tabs at the top?
Here it is. AU925 says, wow, these shows are lit. JGT just asked Jay Lee to pull it out and put it back in.
You did.
You know what? I actually did ask you that, so that wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
and I put it back in dry.
Hey, now. All right, we'll wrap it up there, guys. For those of you in the bunker, thank you for your support of what we do. Seriously, for watching our show. This is kind of new technology for us. So, us old guys trying to learn some new tricks for you youngs that like to watch stuff on the internet. So we're getting better. And as time goes on, I'll be able to add some graphic elements and whatnot to the show. Like when we're talking about Avery, I can put up some, film of him or whatever, make it give a little more production value.
Here's another idea on this thread, like that. They can ask questions.
Well, yeah, or we can do a chat too, like on YouTube. I was thinking about moving it over to Twitch too. I don't know if people would feel that way. I was thinking the old people wouldn't even know what Twitch is and wouldn't want to get involved. Like, for instance, Jay Lee, do you know what Twitch is?
Do not.
Okay, so
sounds like a crackhead or something. Oh, is that
there's
Tweak?
Probably crackheads there, but
that Tweak.
Yeah, Tweak. Yeah,
okay.
From South Park.
My fault. No, I'm talking about the, I guess the adjective or the noun.
Tweaking. AU02 in DC says, need some art on the wall. That is true. I've got a background that is on order and should be here before too long.
Ooh.
Which will help. Harvey Specter says he's calling in to ask if we have the same glasses. They do look kind of similar, don't they?
I don't know, man. I can't see you. No, yours are go better with your frosted tips.
Is that Jim Cantori or Jeffrey Lee? Oh. Anyway, first live shout out. I think AU925 gets the win there.
Nice.
So that's great. He's a pioneer. All right, we're going to wrap it up there. That's the end of the stream. Thank you for watching, you guys, and behave yourself out there, okay? Jeffrey? Word.
Yes, I'll do. Thank you.
You behave yourself.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Bye.